What is up, guys? My name is Jack Gardiner and welcome back to yet another free lesson on a Friday. This time I am going to be basically demystifying the modes for you. I know this is a question that pops up all the time, like among guitarists especially. It seems to be kind of this weird kind of, I don't want to touch modes thing. We're going to sort that out and clear up a few little things today. Before we do that, like always, I just want to ask you guys, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, click that little bell for notifications. I make free lesson content every Friday. I also want to thank you guys again for the ridiculous response to my brand new single, Sky Blue Pink. I'll leave a little clip somewhere here and I'll leave a link in the description. Yeah, it's been overwhelming. The album will be coming actually on July 3rd now, but I mean, you can pre-order it over on Bandcamp. You can also pre-save it to Spotify, so on the day, I mean, if you click this link and you sign up for this, basically it will load automatically into your playlists, and it helps support me basically, so I'll leave a link for that down there as well. Thanks again, guys. Without further ado, let's go into the teaching part then. Okay, so modes. Now, this is a topic which a lot of guitarists may find intimidating, especially if you're at the kind of beginner intermediate level. And there is quite a lot of rubbish out there when it comes towards modes. I think personally, I'm not beating around the bush there, I'm just telling it as it is. It's way overcomplicated. I'll never forget when I was in school, a music teacher of mine sat me down on the piano one day and said to me that what I was telling him about the modes was absolute rubbish. He sat there and told me that D Dorian, for example, can only be D to D, all the white notes. And I remember arguing with him and saying, no, if we can translate that into different keys. And he got out this little classical theory book, and basically it said in there, D to D, all the white notes, that's the Dorian mode. So for him, that was it. Even when I translated those intervals, which is what we're going to do, into a different key and played it for him, he said that it didn't sound the same. Okay, whatever. But yeah, I mean, that kind of, to me, suggests the reason why so many people have problems with this. And also the way in which it's taught on guitar can be really, really confusing. So, typical scenario. If you know the C major scale, a lot of people will tell you that D Dorian is just a C major scale. I hate to think of it like that. That is far too complex to think on the spot when chord changes are happening. How I would do it is to build interval structures. Think of them like a formula. So, you know the C major scale, that is simply root, major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, and then the root again. Obviously some of them you can relabel as the extension, so the major second could be the same as the major 9. You could have the perfect fourth could be the same as the 11th, and then obviously the major sixth is the same as the 13. Now that to me is a mode, that is the Ionian mode, or C Ionian if you like. Now that is an interval structure in itself. It totally relates to a chord, and I think that's the most important thing. The way in which I visualize everything is I have a chord type that's being played in the background, or another musician's playing it or whatever, and then I think of what possibilities are available to me. So if, for example, I am playing over this major chord, yeah, of course Ionian's going to work. There is one note in there that we'll get onto a bit later on that doesn't sound so great. But my point is that if I play D Dorian, I should not be thinking C major. Why? So D Dorian for me is as follows. This is the interval structure. I would have root, major second, minor third. Remember, we're viewing it in relation to the root of D. Perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, minor 7, and then the root again. Now straight away when I am playing, I am visualizing these intervals. I am not thinking of C major. I mean, they're totally two opposite things in my head. So I think of this D Dorian scale in relation to a chord, which would be a minor 7 chord. So in this case, D minor 7. So I know that minor 7 really, I can apply a Dorian scale over the top. So I need to think in terms of intervals. Now, how could you do this if you've never done this before? Now, I appreciate that if you've come from a 3-note per string background, you might think the modes is just, you know, this whole, you learn C major everywhere, and then you can translate to play D Dorian, E phrygian, etc., etc. That is not going to achieve musical results unless you're ridiculous with your phrasing. I honestly think that's the thing which holds most guitarists back. Sorry for not holding back today, but this is something that really grates on me when I see it taught in a wrong way, shall we say. But yeah, if we go then to a D Dorian scale, the way I would start to construct it is as follows. Everyone knows their D minor pentatonic, right? So you would know. I would simply look at what those intervals are in D. So we've got root, minor 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, flat 7 or minor 7, and then back to the root. We are only 2 notes away from a scale. Now the first thing you should probably do actually is add in one of the notes from D Dorian. So we could take the 9th, which is this note, the note E. So let's just find that within the scale. So we'd have this. There it is. Minor 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th. Here it is again. There it is again. So now we have a 6-note scale. Some people call this a hexatonic. You can call it that if you want. I like to just think of it as D Dorian with the 9th in there. So we get this as a full scale. Now while you are doing this, I think it's really important that you are visually understanding what these intervals look like. So you should know that a minor 3rd looks like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. For example, I know I went out of position there, but just as a different option, you know. That's the most important thing for me, not necessarily the shape. You should understand how each of these intervals function over the chord as well. So, I mean, like the most important notes obviously in that, if you want to spell out the chord, it's going to be the notes from within the chord. So you can be looking for this, that would be the arpeggio, root, minor 3rd, 5th, flat 7, root. Like I said, going back to this 6-note scale then, we had this, so again. All we need to make it a full Dorian scale then would be to add in the major 6th. So identify where that is. It should be the note B, so we get this. Here again. That's a complete Dorian scale. And I'm trying to think of how each of these notes works in context. If I viewed that as C major, I'm thinking of totally different things. I'm literally just thinking of the shape really. In my head, it's not going to work the same. A minor 3rd, if we think of that, like a minor 3rd is the note F in D. That's the 4th in C, which is an oboe note. So anyway, back to then how you can use this really. So the backing track at the beginning, which I was improvising over, was essentially an E minor 7 all the way through. The main part of, say, the verse. So we had all of these kind of chords. That, to me, spelled E Dorian straight away. So what I would do is exactly how I did it then. I would think of it as, from the root, we've got E, major 2nd, minor 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, then I've got major 6, minor 7, root, etc. Of course, I am not limiting myself just to this one position when I was improvising at the beginning, but I think that's really important when you first start to delve into this. So that was the first part of it. but then I move to a C major 7 sharp 11. So this chord, I actually think of C Lydian over the top of that. Why? What is C Lydian? So let's look at that in terms of intervals then. So C Lydian, we would have root, major 2nd, major 3rd, sharp 4, perfect 5th, major 6th, major 7, and then it's back to the root. Now the only difference between that and a major scale in terms of the interval structure is that we now have a sharp 4. So we've got this note. It sounds horrible by itself. I think it's very kind of like, what are we doing? But in context, let's put it maybe an octave higher so we get something like this. That's that note. You might think, oh, why can't you just play a major scale over it? Well, I mean, listen to the 4th, the natural 4, not the sharp 4 or sharp 11 over that. That to my ears is just nasty, yeah. That's why we tend to play Lydian over major 7 chords as the go-to thing, I guess, rather than a straight major scale. So yeah, back to this chord anyway. So what I would do with that is maybe take like a major pentatonic, like C major pentatonic, and look to add in that sharp 4. So where is it? So we've got to think, right, okay. It's exactly the same principle as we did before. Now this stops it from becoming this kind of guessing game where you've got to think way ahead and think, right, what is C Lydian? That is actually from G major, and you know, like E Dorian is actually from D major. No, don't think like that. Think from the root, think of the chord. You go, right, okay, what's the chord? C major 7. Then you go, okay, let's build a scale from that root note. We could either pick the Lydian mode, which is probably the go-to one, and look at the intervals from there, or you pick the major scale if you wanted to, pick the intervals from there, from the root notes, not thinking from a different scale, you know. I'm hoping all of this makes sense so far. I know it's a lot to begin with, but I think the real important message in all of this is that you should think of modes as interval structures. Don't try and relate them to different scales and things like that. It's just overcomplicating them. You know, you should really understand how each interval functions as well against the chord. So understand that, you know, the good notes to land on the chord tones, the root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, etc., etc. That's the way I would view modes. Try and simplify them like that. If you do it the other way, you're just overcomplicating things for yourself. Now I know that one has been a lot of talking, and I hope that all made sense to you guys. Any questions I would love to answer down in the comment section. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, please make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, click that little bell for notifications. I make free lesson content every Friday, and don't forget to pre-order the album Escapades coming on July 3rd. I also have a brand new website. If you're totally new to this kind of thing, there are tons of lessons on there. I would suggest maybe the package bundle that goes over all of this kind of stuff. But yeah, guys, thanks again. Let me know what it is you guys want to see next week. Until next time, guys, cheers.